Deceived for 5 years, suddenly hearing my cheating wife's true feelings. Married to my wife for 5 years, I found out she was cheating. The cause was that my wife went on a business trip with her best friend, and she insisted on booking 2 rooms for the night. While I was video calling her, I saw a pair of black men's leather shoes in front of the bed. At 10 p.m., I suddenly dialed her video call. She answered with an annoyed expression. "Wang Yu, what do you want?" I glanced behind her, and the room appeared to be a king-sized bed. "Didn't you stay in the same room as your senior? Lily snores loudly at night, and I couldn't sleep. So why did you get 2 rooms? What a waste of money." My wife rolled her eyes at me. "It's the company's money, not yours. Why do you care? But you're sleeping alone, it's not safe at night. I go on business trips hundreds of days a year and nothing has happened. Frankly, you just don't trust me. I'm tired and don't want to talk to you. I'm hanging up." Before I could say anything more, she hung up on me. My face turned dark. I gritted my teeth and clenched my fists. In that video, I clearly saw a pair of black men's leather shoes in front of the bed. Why would there be men's shoes in my wife's room? A very bad thought instantly flashed through my mind. Could it be that my wife is cheating on me? Is she secretly meeting someone during business trips? I was in turmoil. My wife is my college classmate, and she was recognized as the school beauty. I chased after her for 4 years before finally getting her. On the night I confessed, we went straight to a hotel. A month later, my wife told me she was pregnant. The odds were 100%, and honestly, no one else could have it so straightforward. As a responsible man, we got married right after college because of the pregnancy. Life after marriage wasn't as happy as I imagined. My wife loved to show off and dress provocatively, becoming the center of attention wherever she went. Outside, she wore tight skirts or yoga pants. At home, though, she dressed conservatively. As for me, besides work, I often played the role of a housewife. After work, I had to cook and do the laundry every day. Even though I worked hard without complaints, my wife would often complain in front of me. She would talk about how this person bought his wife an Hermes bag, or how someone else took his wife to the Maldives last month, or how another friend bought a big villa. My wife complained non-stop every day. My ears were practically calloused from hearing it all. I'd change into my pajamas and lie in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Whenever I closed my eyes, I kept seeing the image of those black leather shoes. I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to go see for myself. At midnight, I left the house, drove 200 kilometers, and arrived in a city where my wife was on a business trip. I found the budget hotel where she and her best friend were staying. I handed the receptionist 500 yuan and got her room number. Bang! 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 At 4 a.m., I frantically knocked on the hotel room door. "Who is it?" "It's me." My wife opened the door, clearly startled. "Are you crazy? It's the middle of the night. Why aren't you at home sleeping, and why are you here?" "Of course, I came to see you." She tried to shut the door, but I rushed inside. I searched the closet and the bathroom but found no sign of the man who wore the black leather shoes. My wife angrily slapped my back. "Wang Yu, do you suspect I'm cheating? If you don't trust me, we can get a divorce now." "Wife, please listen to my explanation." "You don't need to explain. Get out of here. I want you to disappear from my sight." She shoved me outside and slammed the door shut. I stood outside, pleading desperately. "Wife, I was wrong, please forgive me just this once." No matter how much I begged, she wouldn't open the door or forgive me. At that moment, Lily came out from the next room. She was my wife's best friend and also her department manager. Interestingly, whenever there was a business trip, Lily always brought my wife along and only her. At first, I thought Lily was a lesbian, but after observing for a long time, I found that she wasn't, and in fact, every year she had abortions with different men. Lily and my wife had known each other since college. She was a senior, a year above us. "Oh, isn't this Wang Yu? What are you doing here?" I felt embarrassed and scratched my head. "I was just passing through on a business trip, thought I'd come by and check." Lily looked at me with a smile. "Do you really think I can't see through your little schemes? You're worried that Jin Lian is cheating, aren't you? Well, did you catch her with a man?" Lily mocked me, making my face turn red. I was so embarrassed I could die. I wished I could just disappear into the ground. Senior, you're misunderstanding. I'm not here to catch her cheating. I trust Jin Lian 100%, I'm just worried about her safety. Li looked at me disdainfully. What danger could there be with me? I'm not a tiger. Am I going to eat your wife? I muttered quietly, if you two shared a room, you'd be able to look out for each other. But with this situation, I'm really worried something bad might happen to Jin Lian in the middle of the night. Li spoke rudely, I snore at night, you know that. When I heard this, I immediately became alert. Senior, you really need to clarify your words, or it could cause a misunderstanding. Li pinched my arm. So, now you've grown some guts, even daring to flirt with your senior. I quickly reminded her. Senior, let us get back to business. I want to apologize to Jin Lian, but she is refusing to open the door. What should I do now? Li smugly said, watch me. After a lot of persuasion, my wife finally opened the door. She sat by the bed, crying pitifully, and had already used half a pack of tissues. Li Jie, I can't go on like this. When you suspects I'm cheating. I lowered my head in shame. Wife, I was wrong. Please forgive me just this once. My wife yelled at me. If you don't trust me, how can I forgive you? Once I get back from my business trip, we'll get divorced. I tugged at Li's sleeve. Senior, please talk to her. Li sat by the bed, took my wife's hand, and patiently tried to persuade her. Jin Lian, even if you divorce, can you guarantee you'll find a man better than Wang Yu? And you two have a son. If you get divorced, what will happen to their child? HMPH, anyway, the kid isn't even his. If I hadn't gotten pregnant back then, would I have even looked at him? I heard my wife's inner thoughts. When I suddenly looked up, I found that my wife's face was calm, with no sign of guilt. Could it be that I hadn't slept all night and was just imagining things? I glanced at the table. I noticed 2 cigarette butts in the ashtray, but neither my wife nor Li smoked. Clearly, after my wife checked into the room, a man had been there and stayed for a long time. My scalp tingled, and my mind felt like it exploded in that moment. For a brief second, I really wanted to just kill my cheating wife without caring. But I quickly reminded myself to stay calm, stay composed, stay very calm. I couldn't act impulsively. I forced the anger down. I didn't hear a word of their conversation after that. At that moment, my phone rang. It was a call from my mom. Wang Yu, Jun has a fever of 38.5 C. You'd better come back now. I hung up, my face darkened. My wife immediately got nervous. What's wrong with Jun? Before and after we got married, my wife always called my mom your mom. She never referred to her as our mom. When my mom was around, she always called her aunt. It made my mom feel like a stranger. For the past 4 years, I had essentially raised her child, cooked meals for her, and done everything only to be treated like this. Jin Lian was such a sharp-tongued, heartless woman. Why didn't I notice all these flaws while I was being her doormat for those years? I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. Mom said Jun has a fever, and I need to go back right away. Would you like to come with me? My wife hesitated for a moment. There's still a bunch of things to take care of here. Once I finish up, I'll head back right away. But in her mind, she was thinking, I promised President Wang 3 days. I just bought a new lace outfit I haven't worn yet. If I rush back now, President Wang will definitely be upset. I bit my lip, and with what little rationality I had left, I said, then you stay here with Senior to handle company matters. I'll go take care of Jun for now. After I said this, I turned and left. At the parking lot, I sat in the car, my face ashen, my body trembling. What should I do next? Should I just swallow my anger and pretend nothing happened? Live the rest of my life with a cuckold's crown, clueless and numb? If I really did that, I'd probably be depressed enough to jump off a building within 6 months. Why should I have to endure the pain while these two scum live carefree? I slapped myself twice, awakening the beast within. I wanted revenge. I wanted to ruin their lives so thoroughly that they'd suffer 1,000 times more than death. I drove home, secretly cutting off a lock of my son's hair to get a paternity test. Honestly, I was still holding onto a sliver of hope. After all, I had raised him for 4 years, and even with a dog or a cat, you develop strong feelings. But when the test results came back, it was like a loud slap across my face. I'd been raising another man's child for 4 years. The moment I received the report, my heart shattered. From that moment on, my desire for revenge became even more unshakable. 10 days later, I finally got my chance. My wife, wearing tight yoga pants, began packing her bags. I pretended to be nonchalant and asked, "Another business trip?" My wife snapped back, "What else? Going to meet another man? How many days will you be gone this time? 3 or 5 days. Lily will arrange the schedule." Then, she added, "While I'm gone, make sure to take care of Jun Jun at your parents' place. Don't feed him that junk food." The moment I heard son, a wave of irritation washed over me. Take care of him. I wouldn't mind if I never saw him again. I didn't respond to her remark. Instead, I asked cautiously, "Do you need me to drive you?" My wife decisively refused. "No," Lily said, she's taking a taxi, and she'll be here in 5 minutes. With that, she grabbed her suitcase and left without looking back. I watched my wife's retreating figure, the corners of my mouth curling into a subtle, vicious smile. 3 days ago, while my wife was asleep, I secretly installed a tracking app on her phone. From now on, as long as I follow the phone's location, I'll be able to catch the man wearing black leather shoes. This was my plan, and I was already putting it into action. I secretly traveled to the city where my wife was on a business trip, rented a taxi, and waited outside the hotel where she was staying. Around 4 in the afternoon, a man walked out of the hotel, his arm around my wife's waist. Not only did my wife not resist, but she even intentionally flirted with him in front of him. The man, I had seen him before. His name was Wang Hui, and he was my wife's boss. Don't be fooled by his outward success. In reality, he was a live-in son-in-law who was terrified of his wife. The reason he met with my wife in another city was to avoid being caught by his own wife. I fought back the urge to rush over and kill them both, pulled out my phone, and quietly started recording. These two scumbags, I'm going to make them pay for what they've done. I knew a little about Wang Hui's situation. He was under 40, had a very beautiful wife, and a 7-year-old daughter. His wife's name was Liu Huan, and their daughter, who took her mother's surname, was in 2nd grade at the experimental primary school. The next morning, around 6 a.m., I staked out the gate of the experimental primary school. Although I didn't know what Wang Hui's wife looked like, I could figure it out through the process of elimination. 2nd grade started at 7:40 a.m., and Wang Hui's wife would probably arrive around 7:30 to drop off their daughter. They were very wealthy, so she must drive a luxury car worth at least 300,000 yuan. She was probably beautiful, elegant, and about 35 years old. Before long, a little girl got out of a BMW and waved to the driver. "Goodbye, Mom." When I saw the woman behind the wheel, my eyes immediately lit up. I quickly ran back and knocked on the car window. "Sorry to bother you." Liu Wan furrowed her brow, clearly annoyed. "My child's schedule is already full. She probably mistook me for a tutor from a training school because of my glasses and my gentle appearance." I bent down and smiled slightly. "Excuse me, are you Wang Hui's wife?" Liu Huan's heart skipped a beat, and she looked at me with suspicion. "Who are you? What do you want? Look, can we get in the car and talk?" She hesitated for only a second. "Fine, come on in." I sat in the passenger seat and confirmed again. "You're Wang Hui's wife, right?" Liu Huan rolled her eyes. "Since you know, why ask?" I took a deep breath, my expression serious. "What I'm about to tell you is about your husband, and I want you to prepare yourself first." Upon hearing this, Liu Huan's face immediately changed. "My husband? He is cheating?" I have to admit, Liu Huan's sixth sense was really spot on. She guessed it right away. I bit my lip and nodded seriously. Instantly, the car was filled with a heavy silence. About a minute later, Liu Huan coldly said, "Words alone aren't enough. I need proof." "All right, if you want proof, I'll give it to you." I took out the video I had secretly recorded and showed it to Liu Huan. When she saw Wang Hui and my wife hugging and coming out of the hotel together, her face turned green. "Who is this woman?" "My wife." I forced a wry smile. Liu Huan was stunned, her gaze toward me completely changed. What do you want to do? I gritted my teeth, my voice filled with fury. I want to take the most satisfying revenge on them. Liu Huan thought for 2 seconds and said meaningfully. All right, I understand. She stepped on the gas and took me to the entrance of a budget hotel. I was stunned. What are you bringing me here for? Liu Huan said casually, of course, to check into a room. What else could we do? Check into a room. Who else coming with us? Of course, it's with you. Didn't you want to get revenge on that cheating couple? Is there a better way to get back at that scumbag Wang Hui? I thought for a moment and realized that Liu Huan had a point. So, Liu Huan and I shared a more intimate conversation in their hotel, finding joy in each other's company. That evening, I drove Liu Huan to their hotel where my wife was staying. Liu Huan watched as Wang Hui hugged my wife and walked into their hotel lobby. I was about to get out of the car when Liu Huan stopped me. Wait a bit, the fun has just begun. Why are you in such a hurry? Half an hour later, Liu Huan looked at her watch. It should be about time. You can get out now. After getting out of the car, I followed Liu Huan to the front desk. Liu Huan took out a bank card and slapped it down on the counter. This card has 100,000 yuan in it. If you do as I ask, this money is yours. The receptionist was excited. Madam, how can I help you? Liu Huan asked, which room is Marjinian in? Just a moment, let me check. The receptionist quickly browsed the guest information. Marjinian, right? She's in room 608. Liu Huan said expressionlessly, copy me the video of her sleeping with another man. This 100,000 yuan will be yours immediately. The receptionist nervously said, Madam, we are a reputable hotel. There shouldn't be any hidden cameras in the rooms. Liu Huan took out another bank card. 200,000 yuan. If you agree, the money is yours. If you don't, I'll walk away. The receptionist hesitated for 3 seconds, then made up her mind. I'll see what I can find, but I can't guarantee anything. Liu Huan gave me a flirtatious glance and smiled slightly. Done. Having obtained the most direct and useful evidence, Liu Huan held the room key and went to room 608. She exchanged a glance with me and nodded. She swiped the key card, and with a beep, the door opened. After turning on the lights, my wife and Wang Hui were both startled. I grinned, showing my teeth. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Wang, your study of foreign languages. Hearing my voice, my wife was in complete shock. She opened her mouth but couldn't say a word. Wang Hui, blinded by the light, squinted his eyes. Before he could fully assess the situation, he yelled at me. I don't care who you are, I'm giving you 1 minute to disappear from my sight. Liu Huan stepped forward with a cold snort. HMPH, Wang Hui, looks like you've gotten bold now. When Wang Hui heard Liu Huan's voice, he broke out into a cold sweat. Wife, what are you doing here? If I hadn't come, how would I have known you were living it up outside? Using my money to keep a mistress? Wife, let me explain, it's not what you think. She drugged me, I'm the victim here. At the same time, Wang Hui tightly gripped my wife's wrist, signaling her to stay silent and that he would compensate her later. My wife's face went pale, her lips tightly pressed together, and tears welled up in her eyes. Liu Huan looked at my wife and sneered. Do you see? A man like this, with no backbone. Why are you with him? My wife looked at me with a face full of grievance. Her eyes reddened, and the tears couldn't stop flowing. Husband, I was wrong. I was just confused for a moment. I listened to Mr. Wang's sweet words. Please, give me another chance. I'll quit my job tomorrow and stay home to take care of you and the kids. I'll never step out of the house again. I twitched the corner of my mouth and let out a ruthless, cold laugh. Stay at home and take care of the kids. How can you say that with such disgust coming from your mouth? I sighed deeply and said, Marjinian, let us get a divorce. My wife was in shock. Divorce? No, Wang Yu, you can't do this. If we divorce, what will happen to Junjun? What about your parents? They'll be heartbroken. I've already had a paternity test done with Junjun. He's not my son. My wife's eyes dimmed, and she bit her lips. Husband, I'm sorry. I've let you down. I quickly waved my hand. No, 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 don't call me husband. I'm at most just a green-haired turtle. Liu Huan sat on the chair beside me, took out a lighter, and lit a cigarette. Wang, what do you think we should do about this? Wang Hui and I both froze. But clearly, when Liu Huan said Wang, she was referring to Wang Hui. Wang Hui slapped himself hard on both sides of his face. I'm not human. I deserve to die. I've wronged you and our daughter. Since Wang Hui was so afraid of his wife, how dare he cheat? It was like he was asking for death. Living a good life, but acting like a fool. Liu Huan waved her hand dismissively. Enough, stop acting. We've been married, so I won't make things too difficult for you. You leave with nothing, the child stays with me. How is that? Wang Hui shook his head frantically. Wife, I don't want a divorce. Liu Huan took out a USB stick and waved it in front of him. Do you know what this is? It's the recording of you and Mar Jinian having an affair. The hotel caught everything on camera. If you don't agree to divorce, I'll release this 120-minute video to the public and ruin your reputation. I'll make the entire industry boycott you. Since I can build you up, I can also bring you down. Wang Hui looked at Liu Huan in terror. I'll divorce. I'll do whatever you say. Please, don't release the video. Liu Huan put the USB stick in her pocket. Don't worry, after the divorce, I'll return the video to you. From then on, we'll go our separate ways. Not long after, my wife and I, Wang Hui, and Liu Huan all got divorced. Wang Hui was the worst off. Not only did he lose everything, but he was also kicked out of the company by Liu Huan. Could it be that my wife had cheated? I heard later that Mar Jinian and Wang Hui got married. But Wang Hui's reputation in the industry was ruined, and no company dared to hire him. Gradually, he became depressed. He either drank every day or beat Mar Jinian and Junjun. Once, his ex-wife was beaten so badly, she came to my door, begging me to remarry her. I rejected her flat out. You shameless slut, if I'd known how things would end up, I would never married you. People like you don't deserve any sympathy. A week later, I received a phone call from a police officer. He told me that Mar Jinian had committed suicide and asked me to come. Before she died, she had killed Wang Hui and badly injured Junjun. That night, I confessed my feelings to Liu Huan and proposed. A month later, Liu Huan told me she was pregnant. But I couldn't be happy at all. Because I had heard Liu Huan's inner thoughts, the baby in her belly wasn't mine. I didn't take immediate revenge, but chose to endure for now. Until the day Liu Huan gave birth, I finally saw my opportunity. Liu Huan, being an older woman, had complications during childbirth and suffered from heavy bleeding. The doctor anxiously asked me, should we save the mother or the child? Save the child. Definitely save the child. If I hesitated for even a second, it would be disrespectful to a cheating woman.